Hey everybody! The Attack is here with your UFC 136. We've overwatched on this pay-per-view was in the middle. It was okay. First three fights were decent fights. The co-main event was a snooze fest of a disappointment. And the main event itself, a rematch, was a little disappointing, but better than the co-main event and a good ending. At least we had a straight winner in the Edgar Maynard trilogy. Um, I will give this pay-per-view a 6.0 out of 10. Because there's some okay fights, but the co-main event, main event's performance kind of hindered the score a bit. If both main events were better, I would have given the pay-per-view a much better score, but overall, decent pay-per-view. Could have been better, but okay. Let's start out with first fight of the night, which was a lightweight division match as Lauzon took on Melvin Gulliard. And it was a quick one, quick finish with a submission victory for Mr. Lauzon. It was a quick match. It was like nothing special. So I'll give this fight a 2.0 out of 5 because it was such a quick finish. It was a quick finish, and really get choked in 47 seconds. It was like a quick ending of the fight. So that's why I give it a 2.0 out of 5. Next fight, probably the best fight on the main card, was Leonard Garcia taking on Phan in the featherweight division. This match, like I said, was probably the best match of the main card because this fight was very back and forth action. These guys had great moves, great fights, great punches, great pound-and-pound stuff, great kicks and everything, great action from these two. Very intense, very close fight. Leonard had the match won a little bit, but in the end it was Phan who cashed in with some great punches of his own and a great flurry, and Phan got the victory over Leonard Garcia. Probably, in my opinion, the best fight of the night on the main card. I will give this fight a 3.0 out of 5. Next, the fight that will be most talked about for what happened after the fight than during the fight. It was the return of Chael Sonnen as he took on Brian Stann with current good middleweight champion Anderson Silva in the crowd. Chael Sonnen made a statement tonight, coming back very strong and very aggressive. He was aggressive against Brian Stann. Brian Stann has some impressive victories on the night as of now with Chris Leben, a lot of others. But Chael Sonnen proved that almost a year away from in the octagon, after his fight with Silva, a lot happened to him. He had, of course, steroid use, plus his money laundering triumph. With all his troubles behind him, Chael needed to prove that he wasn't rusty at all. He took the fight to Stann, like he did to Silva. He took his ass down for a lot of takedowns. And it ended in the second round with a submission victory for Chael Sonnen. But like I said in the beginning, it wasn't the fight that was going to be remembered. What's going to be after the fight. Chael Sonnen grabbed the microphone, and we all know Chael Sonnen talks a lot of shit. He backs it up most of the time. We all know he's a cocky motherfucker that talks a lot of shit. Well, he talked a lot of shit tonight, and hopefully he backs it up. He said, Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck. I've never seen someone in UFC this aggressive. We've seen Koscheck, cocky. I think Koscheck and Chael Sonnen are the two cockiest bastards in all of UFC because they talk a lot of shit. But mostly Chael backs it up. And Chael said, Silva, I'm laying down. He laid down the gauntlet to Silva. Like I said, Silva was in the crowd. And Chael said, Silva, I'm laying down the challenge. Super Bowl weekend. Let's make this the biggest rematch of all time. If you lose, if I beat you, Silva, you must go out of the division. You must retire from the division. Go to another division. Hopefully welterweight against TSB. But Chael says, if you win, Silva, I will retire. Making the stakes a little higher here with the challenge with Chael putting his career on the line into Silva retiring from the division if he loses. So that's very interesting. And Silva was in Super Bowl pay-per-view last year. This past Super Bowl, he was up against Victor Belfort. What was it? UFC 126? Yeah. It was UFC 126, which was Super Bowl weekend, and Silva was in the match against Belfort, knocked him out in the first round. So Silva's not new to headlining a Super Bowl UFC pay-per-view. So we'll see what Dana White has to say about the Sonnen challenge laid down to Silva. I would love to see Silva Sonnen, because Sonnen deserved the rematch. You know, everyone knows that Sonnen deserved the rematch. I've said on this review before that Sonnen gave the fight to Silva. He's the only guy I've seen that really took it to Silva. Still was another. He took the fight to Silva. But Silva got a little lucky, in my mind, with that submission in the last seconds of the fifth round, just when Sonnen was about to cash in the title. So, like I said, Sonnen deserved the rematch, but he probably had to fight for it. He wasn't going to get an automatic rematch quickly. He had to earn it. So maybe he may have one fight, but we'll see what Dana White has to say. But I say Sonnen Silva to Super Bowl with those stipulations intact. So that's kind of weird. They've never had stacks. They've never had stipulations like that before, with Silva putting his middleweight crew on the line to retire from the division, while Sonnen says he'll retire overall from UFC if he loses. And then the dumb main event, the co-main event, which was for the UFC Featherweight Championship. It was Kenny Florian challenging the champion, Mr. Jose Aldo. And I was kind of looking forward to this fight, because I haven't seen Aldo before. And Aldo, speaking of Silva, he pulled an ass in Silva. Because you saw, I've complained about Silva's fights before. Silva's fights, Silva doesn't do anything. Silva, he pussies out. He protects himself from getting hurt, because he knows that if he does his move, it doesn't do much, he'll automatically win, because he's a champion. And that's what happened in this fight. An interesting first round, it was okay first round, but then the rest of the fight went downhill from there. Nothing much happened. It was uneventful. A lot of misses, a lot of manhunts, a lot of full guard stuff, a lot of ground and pound that didn't do much. A little bit of a disappointing fight. Because I heard Aldo's last fight against Mark Hominick. I didn't see that fight. I missed it because I was out for a movie that night. You know what I mean? This last title fight against Mark Hominick was a hell of a fight on the night honors. So I was kind of looking forward to see what Aldo was going to do with Florian. Because Florian's challenged BJ Penn before. And who knows, maybe Florian now, after losing, he'll probably have to go down to challenge Dominic Cruz for the bantamweight title, who safely defended his title last week. Speaking of last week, hell, like I said, this fight wasn't eventful at all. Hell, even last week's fight between Mac Danzig and Matt Wyman, which was only a 3-round match, was more exciting than this fight between Aldo and Florian. Seriously, the Danzig-Wyman match from last week was 10 times better. It was exciting. It was back and forth match between Wyman and Danzig, and this fight didn't do shit compared to that fight with Danzig and Wyman. And I was, like I said, very disappointed in Aldo and Florian's performances. And Florian, when you're the challenger, and I'll say this again with the next fight, which was Maynard and Edgar, I'll say this again, in the championship fight, the challenger has to be the aggressor, because the challenger has to be ready to take the champion down, like Sonnen did to Silva. Sonnen took the fight to Silva. If you're the challenger and you don't aggressively go after the champion, you're fucked. That's what happened to Kenny. He didn't aggressively go towards Aldo. He basically let Aldo be safe and didn't do anything much. It's not okay punches and kicks, but not much for this fight. I will give this fight a 2.0 out of 5. By the way, I forgot to mention Sonnen and Stan, I'll rate that a 2.5 out of 5. Now, the second best fight of the night, which was the main event. It was the third fight in the trilogy, as it was Edgar Maynard 3 for the UFC Lightweight Championship. Now, it wasn't as good as the last fight, but it was okay. It wasn't as good as the last match, but it was still decent. But Gray Maynard made the same mistake again, because in the first round of the last fight, Gray Maynard went straight for Edgar, beat the shit out of him, and didn't do anything to capitalize on it in the next 2 or 3 rounds. And Maynard made the same mistake again. But Edgar made a mistake. In the first round, there was a little bit punching and kicking, and all of a sudden, Edgar tripped, and then Maynard took the advantage and beat the shit out of Edgar, and his mouth was bleeding all over the place. That was the best part of the fight for me, besides the fourth round to get to the second. So Maynard once again beat the shit out of Edgar in the first round, and once again, didn't capitalize on it. He didn't go after Edgar in the next 3 rounds. But unlike the last fight, which ended in a draw, it was a different ending. So it was the same beginning. Maynard wasting his energy again in the first round, but not as much as the first round of the last fight, but different ending. Edgar got a knockout in the fourth round. And there was a lot of takedown defense. These guys are pretty good at takedown defense. There was mostly stand up for most of the fight. The first round and fourth round were the best rounds. And the second and third round, nothing much happened. With Edgar getting his energy back after Maynard beat the shit out of him in the first round again. Edgar took it to Maynard for the next 2 rounds, but then after another takedown attempt in the fourth round, Edgar nailed Maynard and knocked him out in the fourth round. You know what I mean? Edgar got his energy back, and Maynard should have went for it. After the first round, Maynard should have gone aggressively after Edgar. After the first round, should have gone aggressively after for the second and third round. Like I said for the last fight, if you're the challenger, you have to take the fight to the champion. If you don't, the champion's gonna win because he will be the aggressor in the situation. So that's what happened with Edgar and Maynard. Edgar got his win back after the first round and got to knock out Maynard in the fourth round. But the question is now, who's next? When the first fight between Edgar and Maynard was happening, Anthony Pettis, who was the WC lightweight champion, was scheduled to fight the winner of Edgar Maynard 1. But that fight went out to be a draw that went to the rematch. Between the time of the first fight, which was in January, after New Year's Day, in the time between that match and this rematch, Pettis was in another match, but lost to Gulliard. So who knows what Dana White's going to think about who's going to be the number one contender. Is it going to be Pettis still, or is it going to be Gulliard, or the former WC lightweight champion before Pettis, Ben Henderson? Who knows what will go down here? And like I said, the most summer moment will be Chael Sonnen challenging Silva for damn sure. And I would love Silva to agree to the stipulations, including considering quitting the middleweight division if he loses. I would love it. Give more guys a chance to shine. And you know what I suggest? They should make this like a Fox thing. Like make it Fox Super Bowl weekend, make it a Fox Super Bowl special. Because they know if they put Silva on pay-per-view, no one's going to buy it because they know Silva's going to pussy out again. But if it's against Sonnen, maybe we'll see what happens. Because Sonnen took the fight to Silva last night. Let's see if he does it again. But overall, his pay-per-view was decent. 6.0 out of 10. That is it for my review. I'll see y'all later. With that in mind, an attack by the UFC review from Zach. Thank you very much. See y'all later. Yes.